Hello, namaskar and namaskar. My name is Pooja Dwivedi. Welcome to my class, The Daily Current Affairs, where we will learn significant events of the past 24 hours in such a manner that it is going to help you not only for your preliminary examination, but you will get a lot of content for your mains examination as well. So, prelims has nowadays become a skill. It is important for you to develop that skill on a daily basis. Once you start solving the preliminary questions, you will make sure that you are developing skills. I do not expect you to make notes in the class because I provide the notes through the form of PDF on my Telegram channel, that is by the name of Pooja Dwivedi UPSC. If you have any doubts or any strategy making doubts regarding the UPSC examination, you can contact me on my Instagram channel as well. Now, these are the many events that we have to cover step by step. First, we will cover the Havana Syndrome because it was in the news, and in India, it was reported for the first time ever in 2021. Litigation was saying that we need the center to look into this particular syndrome. Why did it occur? Okay, before I begin, I would like to tell you that we are launching our batches for Hindi, English, and Hinglish. P2I batches. This will comprise of not only preliminary preparation, mains preparation, but also the interview preparation. You will get these classes in a live manner. These will be morning batches from 8 a.m. onwards, and 11th of the August is the date from where we are starting our class. And then you have to also understand that this is a one-step solution for all your problems. Prelims test series, mains test series, daily answer writing practice, current affairs module, and a mains residential program for those students who are going to qualify Prelims 2024. You will be called to the StudyIQ campus for 4 months. You will do rigorous preparation there. Now we have 3 batches, Hindi, English, and Hinglish. If you're suitable in any one of these batches, you can take admission. Make sure you use the code PDLive, because once you use this code, you will get it for just rupees 29,999. Actual cost is rupees 70,000. All this is just for rupees 29,999. Make sure you use this code. Okay, let's move forward, and first let's talk about the practice question. With respect to the Havana Syndrome, consider the following statements. It is a unique medical condition. It traces its roots to Cuba in late 2016. It has been reported only in Havana. How many of the statements given above is or are correct? The Havana Syndrome actually is basically a set of symptoms. It's not a unique medical condition that occurs like on a regular basis to everyone. It's not like a syndrome in that manner, but it is a set of symptoms. For the first time ever, when the US intelligence ministers, US intelligence people visited the Cuban capital of Havana, they actually experienced these symptoms, and hence it gets the name Havana Syndrome. And it takes its roots back to 2016 when things started normalizing between the US and Cuba. And it was expected and it was suspected that this has taken place because some people may not want normalization of relationship between the USA and Cuba. So yes, the second statement is correct that it traces its root to Cuba. However, it has been reported more than in one country. Like it was also reported in China. So in other countries, we are also witnessing these kind of reports. Even in India, it was there in 2021 when the US officials visited India. So what is the relation between US officials, intelligence officers, and the Havana Syndrome? This remains a mystery. So we will talk about that only. It's a unique medical condition? No. It has been reported only in Havana? No. Many other countries, including China, India, and the rest, have also reported it. It traces its root to Cuba in 2016. Second is correct. So how many of the statements given above is or are correct? One only will be the correct answer. The central government has told the Karnataka High Court that it will look into the matters of Havana Syndrome in India, which was reported in India in 2021. And there was a petition for which the center has replied to look into this mysterious illness. It's a set of mental health symptoms. Syndrome is a set of symptoms over here. It's not a unique medical condition, and they are generally experienced by the United States intelligence and embassy officials in different countries. What is the relation between them is still unknown. And the symptoms include hearing certain sounds without outside noise. It creates a noise inside one's mind, nausea, vertigo, and headaches. Even if there is a long exposure, memory loss and balance issues can also arise. And as I told you, it traces its roots back to Cuba, and this is the capital, Havana. And from here only everything started about this Havana Syndrome. Sudden burst of pressure in their brains were felt when the US intelligence visited the Havana, the capital of Cuba, Havana. Persistent headaches, feelings of disorientation and insomnia were also reported. In 2018, US diplomats in China also experienced this in the Guangzhou consulate of China. Also, other than this, US Embassy in Tashkent, Uzbekistan, it was also reported back in 2017. In 2019-2020, such incidents have been reported from within the US also, particularly in Washington, DC. Now, this is a kind of sonic attack in which a microwave weapon is used, and this is a high powered microwave that will either damage or interfere with the nervous system. Now we have to understand that the low levels of microwave also it comes out of our smartphones and telephones, but it doesn't damage us, but it can impact memory and cause permanent brain damage because of long exposure. Okay, moving on. As you can see, acute symptoms, they include pain in one or both ears, tinnitus, hearing loss, intense pressure or vibration inside the head, difficult with memory or orientation, nausea and the rest. Chronic, that can last for few weeks, headache, insomnia, depression, impaired balance. So there is something that is being used. With respect to the Malabar exercise, consider the following statements. Australia was included as a permanent member of the exercise Malabar in 2020. It is conducted as a part of the quad grouping. The 31st edition of this exercise will take place in Guatemala Bay. So how many of the statements given above is or are correct? Exercise Malabar started as an exercise between the USA and India in 1992. And as the time passed by, as the time progressed, more countries joined it. There is a coincidence that the group quad consists of the countries Japan, Australia, India and the USA, and these many countries are a participant of the Malabar exercise as well. When Australia was admitted as a permanent member for this exercise Malabar, before that Japan joined too, but it is not conducted as a part of the quad grouping. So second statement is incorrect. These kind of questions could come because UPSC wants to check if you know about the differentiation between an exercise that is being conducted between the same countries, amongst the same countries who are also a part of another grouping. Quad grouping is an informal grouping. It is not even a formal grouping. If you will search for quad will always come as an informal grouping. There is no institution such as quad. It is just a grouping of like-minded democratic countries who want to ensure that the Indo-Pacific remains free. But Malabar exercise is just a manifestation of that ideology. It is not conducted as a part of the quad grouping. So second is incorrect. Okay. Australia was included as a permanent member in 2020. That is correct. And 31st edition of this particular exercise will take place of Sydney in Australia. Okay. Off the coast of Sydney. Okay. So first statement is correct. Second statement is incorrect. Third is also incorrect. How many are correct? One only will be the correct answer. The 31st edition of the Malabar exercise will take place of Sydney, and these are war games. Okay. And it will take place from August 11th to 21. And also Australian government, the Australian Prime Minister has requested Prime Minister Modi's presence in Sea Power Conference, which is going to happen from November 7th to 9th, and the Prime Minister will definitely, he is likely to join it. Of course, when it comes to Indo-Pacific, we must join it. Now, the Malabar exercise is a multilateral war gaming exercise started in 1992, also took place in 1995 and 1996. There was a break in 2002. Why? Because of the nuclear test that was conducted by India. After that, from 2002 onwards, the exercise has been conducted every year. So this is an annual exercise. UPSC can also ask us that this is a biennial exercise or a triennial exercise. No, it is an annual exercise since 2002. Okay. Japan and Australia first actually participated, both these countries participated in 2007, but China got irked by Australia's participation. So Australia wasn't a permanent member of it. However, since 2014, India, USA and Japan participated in the exercise every year. But in 2020, when relationship between Australia and China soured, then Australia became a permanent member of the Malabar exercise. Okay. Now, moving ahead to the next question, with respect to the Inter-Services Organization Bill 2023, consider the following statements. It is important that you know about such bills, which are specifically passed in the monsoon session, because it can go a long way for your winter session as well as the budget session. So whenever important bills are passed, it is important for you to take note of them, specifically those ones which have a high probability of becoming an act. Okay, so it's an enabling act and it doesn't propose any change in the existing Services Act. Service personnel, when serving in or attached to an inter-service organization, will continue to be governed by the respective Services Act. So, which of the statements given above is or are correct? See, this particular act does not make any kind of changes in the different acts that govern the Army, the Navy, and the Air Force. But it is an act which will ensure that there is convergence between all these three, because nowadays war is not just conventional but unconventional as well. In order to ensure that all the three services of India are in line with each other, this is just an enabling act for them, okay, to ensure coordination. So first statement is correct. It is an enabling act and does not make any sort of changes in the current Services Act. Okay, service personnel, if they are having their own governing acts, they will abide to that only. They will not abide to ISO. ISO is like an umbrella, we can say, for all the acts, which ensures coordination among these three acts. Okay, so first statement is correct, second is also correct, both 1 and 2 will be the correct answer. What was the necessity of this bill? It was necessary to strengthen the armed forces, that is Army, Navy and the Air Force, in the view of the global scenario. The emphasis, it emphasizing that only through better jointness and integration can the military work better. Better coordination among these services were needed to bolster the integrated structure. This bill 2023, we know that Army is governed by the Army Act 1950, Navy is governed by the Navy Act 1957, and Air Force Act is governed by the Air Force Act 1950. So these acts have actually stood the test of time and stood the test of many judgments that were pronounced. So we know that these acts are very well integrated. But in order to ensure that there is coordination among the three services, we are bringing this ISO. And the maintenance of effective discipline in the inter-services establishment by the heads of ISOs, okay, the heads of ISOs as they are chosen by the central government. There is no requirement of reverting personnel under disciplinary proceedings to their parent service unit. The expeditious disposal of cases of misdemeanor or indiscipline will be taken care of by it. Saving of public money and avoiding multiple proceedings. So this is for that only. It is applicable to all personnel of regular Army, Navy and the Air Force, and to the persons of other forces as and when notified by the central government. So who will notify that if this act will apply to them or not? It will be the central government. It empowers the commander-in-chief, officer in command, or any other officer, especially that who has been empowered by the central government, with all the disciplinary and administrative powers. What are the key words here? Disciplinary, in order to discipline the members of these services, and administrative powers. That is why it will save time, because they will now have disciplinary and administrative powers as under the ISO only. Okay. It empowers the central government to constitute an inter-service organization. Who will do it? The central government, according to the bill. And it is essentially an enabling act, doesn't propose any sort of changes in the current Services Act rules or regulations. Okay. With respect to the International Whaling Commission that takes care of whales, which of the statement is not correct? It was established in the year 1946. It has 89 members including Japan. An integral part of the convention is its legally binding schedule. The key word here is legally binding. We have to ensure that we know such treaties, institutions, say schedule, or any convention that is legally binding. So you have to make sure that you put mark on keywords, because any keyword can change the course of your preparation. India has been a member of the International Whaling Commission since 1981. So what do we have to choose? The incorrect one. See, International Whaling Commission was established in the year 1946. That is definitely correct. But Japan withdrew because it wasn't happy with the statements that were used by International Whaling Commission, that how Japan is treating whales, how it is hunting whales, it is causing extinction. So it withdrew, okay, in 2019. So that makes the second statement to be incorrect. Okay, when that is incorrect, Both the other statements are correct, C and D. Option B will be the correct answer here. It has 88 members. You can go and check on the website of the International Whaling Commission as well. It has issued its first extinction alert, as in a particular whale is on the verge of extinction. It has issued alert for that. On August 7, 2023, it is on the Vaquita porpoise, of which only 10 individuals remain, specifically in the Gulf of California or Sea of Cortez in Mexico. As you can see, this is a small porpoise, Vaquita, okay, and it exists in the Gulf of California or Sea of Cortez, and it is just having 10 surviving animals. If there is just 10 surviving animals, it is going to extinct soon, if of course proper care is not given. And when any species get extinct, what happens? The entire ecosystem starts collapsing, because every species is interdependent on others. Codependency is one of the important keys that the nature has told us time and again, but we refuse to listen. Once any species gets wiped off, or any particular part of the species gets wiped off, what will happen? Humans will come closer in the food chain of viruses, different diseases, and that is what is happening. So that is why everybody is shouting that in few years we will see recurrent pandemics, because we are destroying the biodiversity, which has a store of many viruses. Okay, moving on. The IWC was set up under the International Convention for the Regulation of Whaling on 2nd December in 1946 at Washington, D.C. It has 88 members. It talks about proper conservation of whale stocks and thus makes it possible for the orderly development of the whaling industry. The most integral part is the legally binding schedule. This schedule talks about it has collectively decided, and it is necessary in order to regulate whaling and conserve whale stocks, which includes reducing catch limit. That means there should be a catch limit, how much whales you are catching, and which may be zero. It can also be zero when it comes to commercial whaling, by species as well as area. Two things are there, on species and on areas. Designating specified areas as whale sanctuary. If any part of the ocean is important for the development of whales, it can also be called as a sanctuary. Protection of calves, that is baby whales, and females which are accompanied by calves or baby whales. Restriction on hunting methods as well. India has been member of the International Whaling Commission since 1981. Japan withdrew from it on 30th June 2019 and resumed the commercial whaling in July 2019. Now, as there were restriction on commercial whaling, now there are more than 10,000 dolphins and a few whales that are present in India. And these are found across the east coast, including Andhra Pradesh, Odisha and West Bengal. And for the first time, 150 Riso dolphin species were also found in India, and these were along the Paradeep area. Okay, Riso dolphins. Moving on. Which country has recently set a target of facilitating entry of 30,000 Indian students by 2030? USA, UK, sorry, not USA, UK, Australia, France, Spain. The correct answer to this question, just remember Bastille Day. When the Indian Prime Minister went to Bastille Day, there were promises which were made, including increasing of Indian student diaspora in France and also businesses. So the correct answer to this question is option C. Before this, also France did set a target of achieving certain number of Indian students by the year 2025. Now it has gone up to 30,000 Indian students by the year 2030. Okay, so France's goal to welcome 30,000 students from India by 2030 is welcomed, and it has also proposed that whichever Indian student is going to pursue French master's degree, they will have an opportunity to work and explore professional alternatives in France during their 2-year post-study work visa, because they get work visa as well. This is for 2-year period. Now in 2021-2022, more than 4 lakh foreign students applied to study in France, out of which 10,000 were from India. Many universities from France have opened their satellite univs in India, and NEP 2020 opens up this particular opportunity. A student says that France has a good standard of living and career growth opportunities, but language has become a barrier. Now English is being encouraged there, so that language doesn't stay a barrier anymore. Which of the following is not a member of ECOWAS, which is a regional bloc? Initially, it was developed to ensure that there is a common currency among these countries which are a part of ECOWAS. But now, military interventions are expected from ECOWAS on Niger because, of course, Niger, we are seeing a coup, and this coup is not working well for the countries there. Niger, Liberia, Algeria, the Gambia. Except Algeria, all the other members are a part of ECOWAS. So the correct answer will be Algeria. Okay. General Abdul Rahimane Chiani, he has been made the head of state of Niger after ousting President Mohamed Bazoum. And now there is a news that the Russian Wagner group is very active there. However, it was active before we heard its name in Ukraine, when it fell out of favors with the president of Russia, Vladimir Putin. So the regional bloc, ECOWAS, or the Economic Community of Western African States, has been also playing an active role. They will have a meeting about it as well. Moving on. This is known as CEDEAO in French, and it's a regional group which was established in the year 1975, consists of 15 countries, including Gambia, Cape Verde, Guinea-Bissau, then we have Sierra Leone, Senegal, Guinea, Liberia, Cote d'Ivoire, Ghana, Togo, Benin, Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, and Nigeria. So these are all the members of the ECOWAS. It was established by the Lagos Treaty to promote economic integration, and it has 15 members, including these many I have already told you. Around 400 million people live in this region. Initially, it was developed to ensure that there is a single common currency, and also it wanted to become a single trading bloc to ensure that there is development in industry, transport, telecommunication, and many other matters. And it wanted to ensure that it becomes a borderless region, it becomes one country in itself. And it should be well integrated, which follows principles of democracy. Right now, there is no democracy in Niger. Rule of law and good governance, all are missing from Niger. With respect to the Quit India movement, consider the following statements. The movement was entirely free of violence. Quit India was coined by Yusuf Meher Ali, who was also a freedom fighter and served as Mumbai's mayor. After the defeat of the Cripps mission, the resolution of the Quit India movement was approved at the Calcutta session. So how many of the statements given above is or are correct? This is like an Easter question. Like we have to find Easter eggs, we have to find the Easter keywords. Under the nervousness of the examination, you can think that certain parts of the statement, if they are correct, the entire statement will be correct. See, the movement, the Quit India movement that was launched on 8th August, the resolution was passed at the Bombay session, not Calcutta session. So here, after the defeat of the Cripps mission, this is very correct, that Cripps mission, after that only when there was disagreement over Cripps mission, then only the Quit India movement was launched at the Bombay session and not Calcutta session. So this was the Easter egg we had to find. That is why it is important to look for many keywords in a big statement, in a big sentence. Option 3, statement 3 becomes incorrect because of that. The movement was supposed to be free of violence, but it wasn't so. So first statement is also incorrect. The term Quit India was, yes, it was coined by Yusuf Meher Ali, who was a freedom fighter and also served as Mumbai's mayor. So first is incorrect, third is incorrect, second only is correct. The correct answer will be 1 only. And Quit India movement was launched by Mahatma Gandhi on August 8, 1942 at the Bombay session, when All India Congress Committee said that Cripps mission is not working for us. Of course, during the World War II, it was important for India to provide human resources to the British, and for that, of course, they needed cooperation from India. The British needed cooperation for India. Cripps mission proposed some things which were not in favor of India, and they decided to abandon the Cripps mission. Sir Stafford Cripps, who was a member of the war cabinet, visited India. India said, no, thank you, we want you to quit India. Although its immediate effect wasn't achieved, its result wasn't achieved immediately, but it did instill a spirit of unanimity, the importance of freedom in the minds of all the Indians that were a part of it. Okay, so Gandhiji gave the clarion to the countrymen, do or die, karo ya maro. And Sir Stafford Cripps was sent to India to get cooperation for the war. I have already told you this. Over 10,000 people were killed during this movement, and widespread civil disobedience took place. This was the major plan. Act of deviances and non-cooperation was there, but it turned violent. Okay, Mahatma Gandhi gave the iconic slogan during this time only. Quit India was coined by Yusuf Meher Ali, and during the movement, parallel governments, that means government that were having their own sense of entitlement and sense of decision making, these were also established at Balia, Uttar Pradesh, Satara, Maharashtra, Tamluk, West Bengal, and Talcher, Odisha. The protesters demolished governmental structures and damaged railway tracks in many places. So that is why this protest was violent. Numerous arrests were also made that were including Mahatma Gandhi, Jawaharlal Nehru, Sardar Patel, and by the end of the year 1942, over 60,000 people were imprisoned and hundreds died. Now, this is a practice question for you to practice. Consider the following statements. The Constitution empowers the President to specify an ST, that is scheduled tribe, in a state or UT after consultation with the governor. The Constitution doesn't specify the criteria to determine ST status, and the ST list is not a nationwide list. So, how many of the statements given above is or are correct? This must be very easy for you if you have been following the current affairs only. Okay, so that's it. Thank you so much for watching and stay updated.